Hey Abe, I hope you can hear this. I'm going to try to walk through the different. You were asking about this bar graph at the bottom, right here. This bar graph right here that shows up as you're riding. That's your power graph. So it reads the watts from your trainer, reads how much your effort you're putting on your trainer, and it graphs this out over time. And it moves to the right. So this is what you did previously in your power, and then this is where you're at. So if I'm going to let this video play for a little bit, um, and you can see it filling in over here to the right. And so that's what my watts are right then in time for one of my rides. And so that's what that graph. So you can turn that on and off. Can't remember what button it is, but it's a button on the companion app, or on the screen. You can turn off this graph here. So it's not this is not your elevation. This is a graph of your watts that you're putting in, interpreted from your trainer or power meter that you might have connected. And you can see it's yellow here, and it's telling me right at 250 watts. I'm doing a workout, so that's what that is right there. And the red line, I believe, is my heart rate. I believe that red line is actually the heart rate as well. If you have a heart rate monitor on. Now I'm going to try to explain some of the other uh, uh, graphs that you see on the screen, and I'm actually going to play. This is the audio.
That's the beauty of being retired.
So this is our
All
ride
the filters
from
went away.
Saturday, and
Right, Wesley?
I use the Discord app so you can hear their audio as well, which I'm going to mute in just a second. But we were all
Haven't been
talking
retired
while the
long.
ride was happening. But in this particular moment, let's mute this. In this particular moment, I paused it and make it full screen again. You were in the front right here, and so we'll disregard this red thing, this the fence that I control. But over here, this little graph right, so this is the map of where you're riding and all the possible roads. The orange triangle is you and the direction you're heading, and then all the other dots are other people. And of course, we're all right here, so it's hard to see all the other dots. But this graph right here, so it's a whole map, and then there's a little shaded kind of graph that's adjusts as you ride. This 4% right here means that where I'm currently at, where I'm currently riding, it is a 4% grade. And so we're still getting up to the top of this hill. And so it always tells me what am I currently on. So I'm going to let it play some more, and you'll see that number adjust up in the top corner. And so as it levels out, you got the 5%, 6. Eventually, it starts to level out in this little courtyard area, and 3, 2, 1. So now what we're riding on is at a negative 1% grade, negative 2%, negative 3%. So we see we're picking up speed a little bit. And so this top graph here indicates what the current piece of pavement you're on or whatever, what is the grade of that? That's what that top graph right there means. That's how you kind of tell your current elevation. It's a little difficult to see in here on this map. This is your current elevation or your current grade. And then down here, I'm going to advance it a little bit because it'll be better to see. I believe it'll be better to see. Let's try this one more time. Maybe again. Let's closer to the end. There we go. Cool. All right. So now, pardon the trees here. I'm going to let the camera swing back around. There we go. So right now, this is that long climb at the end. I've advanced the video to there. And so it's a 10% grade. That's just me. 10% grade is 11% is what I'm on right now. But this little shadow that's at the bottom, generally shows you the route you're currently on and where you're at in the elevation of that route. So in this case, our climb ended at 26.1, and this little red mark here indicates the end of a KOM, King of the Mountain section. And so it was right there. It's really faint and hard to see because it's just that small. But I'm the yellow triangle because I was a ride leader, and this indicates the elevation over the whole ride. So once I crest that hill, we start going downhill. And you'll probably recall that once you got to 26.1 or so, it wasn't immediately downhill, but eventually it did start rolling downhill for a while. And so that's what this shadow at the bottom shows you, the elevation over the course you're currently on. It gets a little weird when you're making turns because it can't interpret what turn you're going to make. But generally speaking, it does show you the elevation over your course you're currently on, or currently going to be riding. And of course, this is what it is right now. To go over the other stuff that's on the screen, these are your watts that you're putting out right now. I'm going to let the video play and I'll talk about these. These are watts you're putting out right now. If you've got a cadence sensor, it will show your RPMs. Some trainers will actually pick up your cadence sensor, so you don't have to actually your cadence and not have to actually have a cadence sensor. This is your heart rate. If you've got a heart rate monitor on. Right here is a box that kind of switches. So if you're ever on a KOM, which we are right now, or a timed climb or a timed sprint area, it will show you, it'll rotate between your best times. It'll come up a box with your best time. So right now it's showing my night, what I've done the last 90 days. I haven't done this, so there's nothing there. And then it will switch to everyone in the event or everyone else in the world right now. What is their best time today? And so no one else had finished it yet. I think everyone else had already left, so they hadn't finished it yet. This little circle fills in when you get a power up. So when you go through a race banner or KOM banner, you get a random power up that shows up in here. I wonder if I can find one of those. So yeah, random power up banner or thing right here. And if I press a button, it activates this power up, and different power ups do different things. And we can talk about that another time. Your current speed. So whatever you're doing right now, how far you've ridden, how much elevation you've gained over the entirety of your ride so far, how long you've actually been moving. So if you stop pedaling, this timer eventually stops after a few seconds. So it only records like when you're actually moving. So if you were riding for 20 minutes and then you took a 5-minute break and then rode for another 20 minutes, you're only going to have about 40 minutes and some change of actual riding time. This number right here is the level of your character. So as you ride more, you get experience points per mile. As soon as this thing gets to 10 miles, you'll see it tick up. And you get more experience points, you level up. And as you level up, you can buy nicer bikes, which are a little bit faster. You don't really need to worry about this. This is the steering. So I'm able to steer my bike. I can actually move it left or right, and it's letting me know the steering is on. This little bar generally is showing how long you have to finish the course you're on. So our ride today was 27 miles. So it's letting me know there's 17.1 miles to go to finish the course I'm on. And that, it just fills up whatever course. And if we do a lap, it would start to fill up again. These are your drop points. So the more you ride, the more drop points you get. And it's kind of the in-game currency that lets you buy new bikes and wheel sets. And here I've used the power up and it went away because I use it. This shows you the riders nearby on the right. So this will tell you like the name of the ride you're on if it has a name. Because we're in an event, it does show who's in what place. So in this case, I'm in front of the group, so I'm in first. Now I'm in second ever so slightly. I think Mike fourth. I guess some people are it fluctuates a bit here. This shows where you're at and then where everyone else is at in relation to you. So I'm going to pause it. So right now it's letting me know that Mike Dieter is in front of me, and he's not that he's right here. It'll show you the distance in time he's in front of you. And that will be represented in seconds. And so if we go down here to where you're at right now, you're about 16 seconds behind me, and then Josh is 1:15, and then Jan is riding likely with Josh, and he's 1:16 behind me, is what those numbers mean. So wherever you're at in the screen, it shows you who's in front of you and then who's behind you, and then the time it would take. Generally, the time it would take for them to catch up to you is what that time closely represents. So for them to get to where I'm at, it would take, for you to close the distance to where I'm currently at right now, it would take 16 seconds at the current effort you're putting in, at the current wattage right now. And these numbers, which are super small on the screen when you're playing the game, that's your watts per kilogram, which is your watts over here divided by your weight. And that's really what determines that's a main factor in how fast you go in the game, along with what bike you have on, what kind of surface it is. But the main driver is what are your watts per kilogram? And that's how a heavier rider and a smaller rider can still ride at a similar pace despite doing different levels of watts. Is that their weights can be their watts per kilogram can be comparable. Everyone's flag that they chose, it doesn't actually mean they're in that country. It's just a flag that they chose. It's really difficult to change that. And then the distance that you've ridden so far. So Josh joined late. This is Josh Silverman here. He joined late, and so he's only ridden 6.7 miles so far. And Jan is back there with him. He's ridden the whole ride, but he's at 9.8 because he's actually behind us. And then the letter E right here indicates what category you all are in. So most of the time, people are going to be in the same category because you see them. But every so often, there are mixed category rides that everyone's riding together. And I believe this person means they're a friend. Like they're a friend of yours in the companion app, and the little phone indicates they're using the companion app as opposed to just connecting directly to their computer or Apple TV. So Tony's not using the companion app to connect. Neither is Andrew. Neither is Josh. And where are you at, Abe? You're using the companion app. Excellent. So those are all the things that are on the screen. I'm going to let this roll for a little bit, and you can see the grade get a little harder here, I think. So it's at 3% is where we're at. Is that it? I guess it stays about 3%. I'm going to advance it. Okay, there we go. It's a 4%. And then eventually we crest this hill, and it goes. You can already see it's going back down. So that's where you're currently at, and then that's the rest of the elevation. It tells you the score of that part right there. Either way, there you go, Abe. I'll send this video to you, man. Hope you're having a good day.